Hello and welcome to this episode of The Human Frequency. We've been very busy for the last month or so, mainly getting off of Etsy and establishing our store on our site, thekembo.com.
Etsy has been a nightmare if you've been listening to our episodes on that, including the whole debacle with Carl Vels reporting our shop and having everything torn down, despite the word Orgonite appearing nowhere in it. So we've been dealing with a lot of BS, and now we're done with Etsy, and we're happy to offer a more user-friendly shopping experience on our own site. So thank you so much for supporting us during this time and being patient while we moved. And thanks for supporting our work with your purchases. The shop is looking good. It's easier to use. You don't have to be a member anymore. There's no more illegal taxation. There's a lot of great reasons not to work with an evil corporation like Etsy. They purport to be a place for craftspeople, for creative people, but really they're just part of the problem. And now, finally, we're done with them.
Yeah, so thank you for 3 years, over 3 years actually, of sales on there. And we're very glad to have the store up and running again. And definitely our mood has improved, I think.
No, it's just great.
It's very stressful when your business is being impeded in that way.
Yeah, it's just great not having to worry about what they're going to do next to make business difficult. So now it's just free and easy and a lot more fun.
And speaking of impeding, I am well aware that our last episode about the fake Craigslist situation going on is being suppressed. I know for a fact. So if YouTube is listening into this with their algorithm, whatever they use, just we're on to you again.
Well, the fake Craigslist that Gabe is referring to is that the real estate listings for rentals are mostly fake. And I'm pretty sure we're correct that the way that the rental market is being so inflated, and thus the housing market too, is through all these fake ads saying that a one bedroom in Santa Monica costs $5,000 and a two bedroom on Wilshire Boulevard in Westwood costs $7,500. That's ridiculous. It's unrealistic. And I believe that they've been raising the prices quicker and quicker. I've seen it go up to the point where it's preposterous. And when I called a bunch of different listings of rentals in various areas, I got no calls back and no emails back. And I'm pretty sure that most of those ads are fake. So that's all been suppressed. And now that we mention it in this episode, this will be suppressed too. But anyway, it's out there. And we recommend not participating in this fraudulent housing market, staying put as long as you can with whatever rent you got right now.
Yeah, just wait for the bubble to burst. It did 10 years ago. There's no reason to think that it'll go on forever, because 12 years ago, people were saying the same thing. Oh, this is going to continue this way till the end of time. Nope.
Mm-mm. Well, we're here today to talk about Orgonite gifting and psychic attacks, things that everybody who wants to get involved with Orgonite gifting needs to know about. We get lots of questions on this topic, questions about where to put them and how to do it. And we're going to go through actually a document that we've made called Orgonite Gifting 101. And we're going to make this document available on our website soon. For now, we've been emailing it to people, but pretty soon you'll just be able to click on it on our website and read all this. So we're going to go over a lot of the points in this document because it's very important to understand the right way to do Orgonite gifting. And we've made plenty of mistakes. Mm-hmm. And you don't need to, because we've already figured out all the wrong stuff. So we're going to go through it. And the main thing to know is, first of all, what is Orgonite gifting?
And what you're getting into by doing it is very important. Orgonite gifting is the act of distributing Orgonite into the environment for gridding and neutralizing cell phone towers.
When you're out gifting Orgonite, anywhere you are, you should expect to see cell phone towers. And we've gridded throughout Los Angeles and many other cities, Las Vegas, Portland, Oregon, all the best places. And we've also gone throughout the countryside and done it there too. And the purpose of Orgonite gifting is to neutralize DOR sources and take down that weaponry at the source.
Yeah, in the movie They Live, which is really a documentary, I think we've mentioned this before, they have this weapon set up on the top of their TV studio, and that is what they have to destroy. And there's I don't want to...
Don't give a spoiler.
Yeah, I'm not going to give a spoiler away, but people think that the way to deal with these problems are to throw the violence right back at them, but that never works. You have to disable the weaponry at its source.
Right, and in They Live, since they had this antenna putting out a mind control signal to destroy, it's such a great analogy for Orgonite gifting because there were people in that rebellious group. I guess they're like an underground kind of militia that's distributing the sunglasses so that people could see the parasites, And it's so much like Orgonite gifting. It's just like a Hollywood version of it. We distribute the Orgonites so that you can, see what's going on. It breaks down the mind control signal so you are more clear. You can understand more of what's going on in the world. And you could see the parasites that are controlling things here, and they do so through deception. So when They Live, the leader of that group tells one of the guys that says, hey, we need to fight them with our guns. We need more guns. He says, no, that's not how it's going to work. We need to bide our time. We don't have enough people to win with weapons against them. There's like a handful of these guys and there's millions of them. We need to destroy the signal. So that's how it's going to work, and that's how we're doing it today. There's no way that this war is going to be won with weapons. People who are joining militias and the whole like Bundy Ranch situation, stuff like that. It's really not how the war is going to be won. Now, that whole situation could have been resolved pretty quickly with a legal name registration. There's a lot of simple ways to resolve these issues, but ultimately, much more important than the legal name registration for those legal rights is just getting the energy flipped back to the human side on Earth. And
exactly.
So that's what we're doing.
And that's what Orgonite gifting is about. It's about destroying that signal, the mind control signals that come off of the DOR sources, mainly the cell phone towers. And that's really at the heart of this energetic war, is to just, like you said, just flip it back to the human side.
Exactly. And then Orgonite gifting is a solitary activity too. We're going to get more into that as we go. This is just personal journey. I use the word personal. I know that doesn't really mean anything. It's for you. This is for you. This is going to help you in your life. And it's going to take time, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it's something that you're going to enjoy seeing the gradual energy change here on Earth. And when you go out and gift Orgonite, it's very important to understand you are joining an energetic war, and there will be opposition. You're facing an enemy because the parasites that are controlling the show here, they are not people. It's etheric. And that's also very hard for people to get.
They're extra-dimensional entities. They're not living things.
Right. And they can manifest as people like Hillary Clinton. They can do
ugly
that.
People.
Yeah, they were always ugly too. And that's another funny thing about They Live is how ugly they are. And he points it out as soon as he gets the glasses on. But it's pretty hilarious. But they can manifest in a physical form. But really what you're dealing with is etheric warfare. And when you disable DOR sources, the cell phone towers especially, you are removing a source of food for them. They feed on our negative emotions. And Wilhelm Reich even saw this in his work in the desert. Actually going across the entire country through all these DORized regions during the 50s, he noticed the stagnant energy, smoggy skies, the air pollution, the drought. These are all symptoms of DOR. And he also noticed that people were depressed. And there were certain environments that were so heavy on that deadly energy that he couldn't be in there without getting sick. So this has been a problem on Earth for millennia. And when we are disabling these sources of deadly energy, the parasites lose their ability to feed. And Reich also found that they were feeding off the suffering of Earth and her inhabitants. When you take that down, they get upset. So just keep in mind that you are disrupting what they are doing here.
Yeah, and I've noticed that the New Age or the New Cage movement has a real big problem with this concept of facing an enemy head on. They don't want to think that there's an enemy. It's just love and light, love and light. Sharon, you've mentioned this many, many times before, but this you really start to discover it when you go about neutralizing these DOR sources, that the pushback is a certainty and you have to be able to deal with it. If you can't deal with it, I do not recommend getting into this work.
Right. If you can't deal with it, then, it's great to have Orgonite in your house. We think that Orgonite gifting is a very rewarding activity, but it's also something where you've got to be prepared that they're going to psychically attack you back. You're going to feel low energy. It happened to Wilhelm Reich and his colleagues. There were the DOR days where they were all DORized, just hit back so hard. They had sickness and malaise and depression. It's inevitable. So be ready for it. And when it does happen, just know that it's time for self-care and take a break. Always just pamper yourself afterwards, because they want to make you depressed. But really what you want to do is take care of the energy problem in your town and then come home and just relax.
Mm-hmm. It's also important to note that these symptoms are not natural. You know, we assume that it's normal to feel depressed and feel low energy and have a headache constantly and have no energy to do anything we like. It's not.
That's DOR.
Yeah.
That's what. Oh, and DOR, for anyone who doesn't know, is the term Reich made for the deadly energy. He called it deadly orgone radiation. It's a difficult term for us because it implies that orgone energy can be bad. Deadly orgone radiation is just the opposite of orgone energy. It's not that orgone can go bad. Your life force can stagnate, and that's what he refers to. Mm-hmm. So just to keep that in mind, that orgone energy isn't good or bad, it's good. DOR is the opposite. So I tend to just abbreviate it rather than say deadly orgone radiation.
Yeah.
And very important is, if you're going to get into gifting, really understand Orgonite. Know what it is, how it works. I get emails from people who don't even have Orgonite who want a gift. And they're like, what do I do? How do I do it? Well, first things first, make some Orgonite or get some Orgonite and really learn about how it works. Our website explains all about that. It uses fine metal shavings and quartz crystals, copper coil, and a catalyzing resin. And all these materials put together create the orgone energy. And many people they want to get out there and gift, but they don't even know yet that their cell phone is hurting them, for example, because that's DORizing. So get acquainted with it. You could check out our tutorials on how to make your own, and just enjoy the effects in your own home and feel it for a while before you get out there and start tossing.
Now, even though we have lots of different types of Orgonite for sale, we have decorative pieces, we have tactical pieces, we have jewelry, we still encourage people to make their own. It's very important, if you want to get into this work, to develop a very personal, intimate relationship with the devices themselves, because it is reciprocal. It's not just the devices, but it's you and what's going on in your heart and your mind.
Right. And it changes your life. It changes the way you think and feel, and you start to interact with the Orgonite. It's not just that you have a device that does something. Many people have a mechanistic view of it, and they're just like, I just want this device to do it for me. Actually, it's all up to us to use our own minds and to engage with our environment and to engage with our own energy fields, because we can actually clean the sky with our own thoughts. The Orgonite helps us, and I believe that the Orgonite alone is not the solution. I believe that we're the solution, and the Orgonite just helps us open up the ability we already had.
Mm-hmm. Back in autumn of last year, when we were on the East Coast, we were mentally tower busting because we didn't have any pieces with us.
Right. Because we couldn't bring very many on a plane, and we were with Gabe's relatives who don't believe in anything. And so we had to be really careful. And plus, if we threw something out of the car window, they'd think we were littering.
Oh, they'd freak out.
So, yeah, we had to keep it on the down low, and we did mental tower busting with some great success, actually. I've got those blog entries cataloged at thekembo.com/bestofblog. If you just go to the Orgonite or Orgone Energy section of the website, you can look at the best of and see some of these cool things that happened in Pittsburgh and Maryland and West Virginia. That was a tough environment to work in without tower busters. So
yeah, a lot of cell phone towers out there, and that brings me to a very important point: is that the towers themselves, you really have to know what they look like. In LA, a lot of them are disguised as trees. There's different types. There's palm trees. There's evergreen trees. There's different ways that they use to try and get them to blend in.
Even eucalyptus.
Oh yeah, we've seen just about anything.
Preposterous.
But
I think they have cacti now too.
I think that's more of like an Arizona for New Mexico thing, maybe. But yeah, there are many different types. Some of them don't have any disguises. There's just the mast and, and the panels attached to them.
Yeah, in Portland, Oregon, they were not disguised. There was no attempt to even disguise them. Maybe people up there just don't know about it because they're getting away with a lot in Oregon. Not anymore, not since November of 2016, but they had been getting away with a lot up there.
Yeah, so it's important that you familiarize yourself with those designs because when you're out there, you're going to need to see what they look like. And in cities, they often just put the panels right on the building tops. And sometimes they'll be camouflaged. So you really just have to just take some time, and you can do internet searches, image searches of what they look like. But you'll start to see the same designs over and over again. You'll get used to what they look like, and that's what you got to get.
You will even see them sometimes on power poles in residential neighborhoods, just a couple of panels. Yeah. They put them everywhere, so just keep your eyes open for the panels. And when you see the panels, give it a piece of Orgonite. And one thing that I really need to address right now is the tower buster itself, because we've been using these same tower busters for years now, and these are the same type of tower busters that George Ritchell uses, and he's gifted in Africa like 25,000 pieces at least.
Probably more by now.
Yeah, and huge changes have happened there. We did an interview with him back in 2016. You could check out if you scroll back in this YouTube channel a ways. He's a fascinating guy. Don Croft is it's attributed to him, the invention of the tower buster. I mean, I don't know for sure. There's been a lot of people making them, but Don Croft also is a proponent of this type of tower buster that we use, which contains very fine aluminum shavings. And they don't have to be like dust. They just need to be very thin and plentiful. So you'll see in ours, some of them are a little bigger and some of them are a little finer. The smaller, the better. But when you have a lot of them in there, they work great. And they are aluminum. And I get a lot of people emailing saying that aluminum is no good. Well, I'd like to know what they did, what experiment they did to show that aluminum didn't work. Because we've been working with them for years and the results are astounding. The benefit of aluminum in a tower buster is it's very inexpensive, so you can make tons of them, and it's very lightweight. So if you're, let's say, tower busting on bike or on foot, you don't have to carry something so super heavy on your back. When we used to do it on bike, Gabriel would wear a backpack full of the tower busters. You could carry 50 on your back, and it wasn't a big deal. So we are a proponent of aluminum. However, you can use iron filings. You can use brass shavings. We use all different kinds of metals in our Orgonite, but our tower busters are made with aluminum for the reasons that George Ritchell likes. It's very effective, lightweight, and inexpensive.
Yeah, and he's had lots of success with that design, and he's been doing it 4 times as long as we have.
Right.
So there really is no evidence that aluminum is not effective.
I haven't seen any. If somebody wants to show me some experiments they've done, but we've gifted thousands of towers, about 5,000 pieces of Orgonite throughout California, Oregon, and Nevada. And I've had the same results everywhere. And I've cataloged all of this. This is all going in the book that I'm working on. It's all right now available for you to see on thechemo.com Best of Blog in the Orgone Energy section. So check it out to see some of the coolest stuff we did.
Mm-hmm. And that's on the metal end. So the finest shavings possible. It doesn't matter what kind it is. But resin, however, you can't just use any resin. It has to be a catalyzing resin. This is another question that we get of people that are concerned about the environment and they want to use more environmentally friendly resins like shellac or beeswax
or
plaster. And that stuff unfortunately doesn't work because it doesn't have the catalyzing properties that it needs. It
doesn't squeeze on the crystals enough to release those piezoelectric properties. And you want to be squeezing on the metals too. And I do know that Ken Rolla actually explained this to me, how this all works. I do know that he has said aluminum is not ideal. But when I spoke with him again, and there's another interview with him, we've done like 4 interviews with Ken Rolla, I talked with him a little about it, and he said that it's just that I think the larger pieces can block scalar energy. But fine shavings like what we're using, they don't block it. They produce it. Mm-hmm. So it's not just a problem of aluminum, by the way. Any metal that's too big is a problem. So just make sure your shavings are thin and fine. And he's seen that it works with what we're doing, and he recommends using powdered metals. That's totally fine. That works great. But we've also had great results with these shavings. So, it's just up to you. There's some concerns with using iron filings in tower busters just because they create so many holes. They're so heavy that it's hard to get the resin to catalyze around them.
But back to the resin, George Ritchell of Organize Africa had an article. I don't think he has
It's
it
not
anymore.
up anymore.
I don't know where it went, but this article described through Carillion photography, I think it was, why those other types of resin don't work, because they don't produce the compression effect on the materials
Right.
inside that is necessary to produce the energy required to neutralize these DOR sources.
Yeah, I think it was a plasterite piece that was measured, and it gave a very small energy field. And it's not that it doesn't do anything, it's that it does very little, because it just doesn't have that piezoelectric effect. And incidentally, the same exact article showed that the energy field created with each of these different types of metals, including aluminum, were all about equal in strength. So it's really just, they have a slightly different look to them, the energy signatures, but it's really equal. So whatever you like, use it. If you don't like aluminum for whatever reason, use something else. But I think aluminum is stigmatized because it's believed that that's one of the ingredients of chemtrails. And I think that it's also known that aluminum is bad for you to eat. But it's fine in Orgonite. You're not eating it. It's not falling on you. You know, if there's aluminum up there, which actually hasn't been proven, we just assume it's up there, using it in the Orgonite isn't going to, bring more aluminum down. It would send it away from Earth.
Right, because that's what the scalar wave vortex does.
Right. So anyway, you got to use a catalyzing resin, and it can be a little noxious. So if you don't like that, you can go for some arts and crafts resin that's very low fume. There's some that are actually no fume. They're a little more expensive. That's a great way to go if you're concerned about fumes. And as far as it being a plastic, it's got to be a plastic. You don't want it biodegrading. You want it out there neutralizing EMF for a long time. So try that out. And if you really don't want to work with resin, go to the website again, the Orgone Energy section, and click on the Obelix links, because that's a great sky cleaning tool if you don't want to use resin. However, to neutralize EMF in your home, we still really recommend Orgonite.
Yes. And so, yeah, you got to use the catalyzing resin. If someone says that you don't have to, don't listen to them, because that's absolutely not true. Another thing that's not true is that Orgonite cannot go bad. I see this on comments on videos sometimes, that Orgonite can go bad or accumulate bad energy over time, or that the government can pulse it and render it inert. None of that stuff is true.
No, I mean, the government can't do anything, They're just like there to collect revenue. They're not what we think they are anyway. If they have some kind of free energy weapons, they might. It's not going to take down Orgonite. Orgone energy is stronger than deadly energy, always. That's why a tiny tower buster could take down a whole cell phone tower.
And if they do have free energy weapons, they didn't invent them. They got them from the extra dimensionals.
Absolutely. They work for them. Again, I referenced They Live, the documentary. You could see what the human elite's all about. I don't want to give too many spoilers on this movie. I think we're eventually going to do an analysis of the whole movie, because it's such an amazing film.
Which will be just all spoilers.
All spoilers.
Just got to condense it all into one space.
But yeah, they can't render your Orgonite inert, nor can they find it and remove it. We have revisited places we gifted, and it was the funniest thing. We were on a highway we had been on before, but we hadn't done the whole highway, but we had done part of it. We pulled up to a cell phone tower to gift it, and I saw birds on it. And then Gabe remembered, oh yeah, we actually gifted it already on the last time, like a couple of years ago or something. I don't remember when it was.
Yeah.
And it was still gifted because there wouldn't be birds sitting on it if it was still emitting. I mean, it is emitting deadly energy, but it's neutralized. So the birds won't sit on them if they're not neutralized. So that was pretty exciting to see that it was still working. So there you go. And we've gone to many places again and again where we've gifted, and they're still in great shape. You could tell by looking at the sky. If you don't see chemtrails, or if they're breaking up, if you see clear blue sky, no smog, that's how you know.
Or if you see those corkscrew spiral shapes, that's another indicator too.
Right, because it's the scalar wave vortex that pushes that away from the Earth.
I recommend you consult the photo gallery on our website. It's got a lot of pictures of those sorts of things. You'll see all kinds of crazy shapes.
Yep. And when you're gifting, very, very important, be discreet.
Yeah. Don't tell everyone about it on your Facebook or whatever social media you have. Please don't go to antennasearch.com.
Yeah, you don't want them knowing where you're going or what you're doing.
No, you got to just find the towers yourself.
Go on the ground. Yeah, go on the ground. Just go around your town, grid your town. I like to do it that way. I like to go one street after another, make sure we don't miss anything. If it's a really big city, we'll do the freeways first, just to get a cursory gifting done. Then later, we'll go like neighborhood by neighborhood. In San Francisco, we started to do the in-depth gifting, but we only did like a little piece of it that way. We did a little piece of Oakland that way, and then we kept track of it. So just drive and grid. It's a daytime activity. You go morning to night, drive back and forth. We did it in Oxnard, Ventura, and Camarillo. Each of those places, we didn't miss anything. If we did, it's barely anything because we did literally every street.
Well, it's very efficient when you grid like that, when you literally go every street and then go back and forth and just you cover everything.
You look for the towers and gift them.
And, Sharon, you mentioned this is a solo journey that's very personal. You got to gift alone. You have to. You can use a very, very trusted friend if you have one, but it's important to understand that there is no Orgonite gifting movement. And this is one of the things where Don Croft really gets it right, is that there is no group of people that you have to reach out and assemble everyone together and we all just charge out and do everything like we're all a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
If you made a dozen tower busters at home and then just went out one day and gifted a dozen towers in your town, or even did the multiple giftings, which we'll explain later how to save on ammo. That's coming up. But if you go out, let's say you distribute a dozen tower busters in your town, just you alone on bike or walking or whatever, you would be astonished at the turnaround in the sky. First off, you'd look up and you'd see all the chemtrails corkscrewing and breaking. You'd see real clouds coming in. You'd see blue skies, and it would feel better. You'd be amazed at what you alone can do in an afternoon. So there's no reason to try to convince anyone, because just trying to convince someone that chemtrails exist is very, very difficult.
Again, I referenced the film They Live, and you'll see just how hard it is to convince someone to wake up.
Right, when Roddy Piper is trying to convince his friend to try on the glasses, that's quite a scene. I'm not going to give it away right now. We'll do that on the spoiler episode. 6
minutes of pain.
Yeah, it's crazy how resistant people are. So, don't try to force anyone to understand it. Just take care of it. It is a personal journey, and it actually is very satisfying to do it alone or with a trusted friend. And if I can reference The Matrix now, when Neo goes out into the world, in the city streets, he's being taught by his teacher, what was
Morpheus.
Morpheus, that you have to treat everyone like the enemy. Even though these are the people we're trying to help, he says, because they're part of the Matrix, you have to still treat them like the enemy. And it's unfortunate, but that is the situation we're in the world today. So understand that mind control is everywhere.
Yes.
And even your best friend can become your enemy in a heartbeat because of mind control. So just be very, very careful.
And so you go out there, you got to bring stuff with you because, like you said, you're going to be out all day if you really want to make a difference.
If you got like a bucket of 50 to several hundred, yes.
Yeah. So bring things with you. Bring food. Bring water. Bring gloves and a little hand shovel. It's a really good thing to have. And I can't emphasize this enough. Bring maps. Do not bring GPS. Do not.
You should never be using GPS.
Or cell phones. We'll get to that later, but leave the GPS at home.
Yeah, you need maps. So learn to read a map because geography is your best subject now. And it might have been hard for you in school, but to be a good Orgonite gifter, that map is your best friend because you can highlight. I do this. I highlight the streets we've gone on. This is our new technique to make sure we don't miss anything. Highlight where you've been. So and then when you go back later, you don't have to redo anything because it's hard to memorize all this stuff. So definitely bring a map and keep track of everything you did. And if you're gifting in the city, definitely recommend biking if you can. You could do it in a car, but biking is amazing because you have so much access to alleys and quick turns. If you happen to see a tower, you can just get in there. We did that in LA. We
Oh man,
busted
I must
LA
have put
on
a couple
bike.
100 miles worth on my bike just for gifting.
Oh yeah, we were all over the place and we experienced everything. We each got a flat tire in Compton, both of us.
Best place to get
Best
a flat
place
tire.
to get a flat tire. We had to trudge back to the Blue Line, and it was kind of interesting. We took the Blue Line back up to downtown and then rode into Hollywood and rode to the bike co-op and learned to fix a flat. So that was the end of our gifting day, was learning to fix our own flats.
Yeah.
So, be prepared for whatever happens. But gifting on a bike is actually great because you can make those snap decisions and it's pretty subtle. It's more subtle than a car in the city. But you can totally gift in a car in the city. You can gift on foot. You can do it any way you want. In the country, the car's great. You could just chuck them out the window, off the highway, into the bushes, anywhere.
Yeah, gifting on foot in the country, we don't recommend.
No, and expect to get on some dirt roads too, because you might want to get up close to a tower. So be prepared for, whatever might happen out there. If you have a good car to go on a dirt road, it's something you're probably going to end up doing.
I'll say it again. No GPS, no cell phones. Some people say, "Oh, well, I turn on airplane mode." No, it should be turned off and wrapped in foil.
Let's explain the reason why. Why are these devices the enemy of the Orgonite Gifter? So the map is your best friend. The phone and the GPS are your enemy. They're not just a slight hindrance. They are designed to control your mind and make Orgonite gifting impossible. You would not believe the way you can get psychically attacked through these devices. They know who you are and they know where you are and they know what you're doing.
They don't like it.
And that's the whole point. They're tracking devices. So they're designed to track your location and to control your mind. That's it. That signal is just complete static in your mind. And we know because we used to gift with the cell phone off, but unwrapped. And we'd get in fights. We'd get agitated, we'd get stressed. And that never happens now, except if we spend too much time under an unbusted tower. That's happened before.
Yeah. But
that signal is designed to screw you up.
But it has to be like if you're there for like 3 minutes or more, which can happen if you're trying to find a place to gift and you can't find a really suitable location. We'll talk about this later about why speed is necessary when you're gifting to be efficient. But yeah, if you spend too much time under an unbusted tower, you will start to feel that pressure in the head.
Mm-hmm. I do remember Don Croft saying that marijuana is the enemy of the Orgonite Gifter. And on this point, I have to disagree with him because I find it to be a useful healing plant and teaching plant. So I don't think marijuana is the enemy of the Orgonite Gifter. I don't think that's what's screwing up people's heads. I think what's screwing up people's heads is cell phones. I am surprised he didn't mention that anywhere in his book. I read his book, The Life of Etheric, a few years ago. I'm surprised he didn't mention that. The cell phone it's a total hindrance to a successful gifting. And they'll be on your ass. They'll know. That's what brings out the black helicopters.
Now, to be fair,
definitely foil that phone too. Wrap it up because it's emitting even when it's off, and it's emitting location data and mind control signal constantly.
Now, to be fair, that book was written in 2005, which was before the smartphone really came into prominence.
That's true.
And it's gotten a lot worse since then. However, cell phones, even dumb phones, are still, like you said, Sharon, they are the enemy to any Orgonite gifter. So, yeah, off, wrapped in foil, no exceptions.
And actually, I think it's a good idea to have it with you in case of an emergency. You never know. So it's a good idea to have it, but like we said, there's a way to have it with you that's safe.
Another good thing to have with you is what's called a sucker punch, and that's SUCCOR, succor, which means mercy, I think, in Latin. Yeah. I don't know if it's Latin, but this device, and honestly, I wish I could tell you how it works. I cannot. I just know that it does work and works extremely well. It's a terminated quartz crystal wrapped in a type of coil called a Mobius coil, which is connected to a 9-volt battery, and that pumps a weak signal through it. It's basically the same setup as a zapper, but with this big crystal on it. and it pumps out a current that when you turn it on, inexplicably, the surveillance systems that they use to track you is scrambled.
Yeah, my theory on that, and this is just a theory because I don't know how to make one of these. I do know it works because I've seen it in action. But my theory is that it's putting out orgone energy as well, or scalar energy, and that signal that it puts out is designed specifically to neutralize the signal that is putting out location data. I'm thinking that's how it works. That's a theory. So
yeah, we're not sure.
Like Orgonite neutralizes EMF in general, there is a tracking signal in there so they can find you. It does something with that to scramble the surveillance. It creates what our friend Harold Lunt, who was actually on the Orgone Energy panel with us back in 2015, another thing you could check out by going to our website media section and listen to various Orgonite gifters talking about it. He had said that it was like a psychic white noise or something like that. It's some kind of white noise that scrambles surveillance. It works great. We do not get the black helicopters very often anymore. We got them in Las Vegas because we dismantled like 150 towers in one day, and we got 4 black helicopters that day. They do notice when their signal's taken out, but they don't know how to find you. They couldn't find us.
So the Sucker Punch is available on this website called ctbusters.com. We're not affiliated with them, but they sell it. Costs around 100, maybe $125, somewhere in that range. Unfortunately, the website does not really offer any explanation of how these devices work, and it would be nice to get something helpful about that, but they just have the devices themselves.
No, they have explanations. They're just nonsense, unfortunately. And that's the problem is they do sell Orgonite, but they don't know how Orgonite works. So their explanations of how it works, I do not recommend. I recommend our explanation, Dwayne Gardner, Ken Rolla, people who kind of understand the science better. And I have to say that if it wasn't for Ken, I really wouldn't understand the science. So I pretty much owe that to him. Most people don't know how it works. And I see all kinds of nonsense terms out there. POR, for example, is a nonsense term. DOR is one of Reich's terms. And OR, orgone, is his term. There's no POR. That means positive orgone radiation, which it's
redundant.
There's no such thing. It's just orgone. So positive implies that orgone can be positive or negative. And they also use words like negative orgone. This is nonsense terms. There's just OR and DOR. That's it.
Now, this one is very important. I get a lot of people asking me this question, how close do I have to get to the tower? Because I know when we first started gifting, my temptation was to get it right there.
Oh, I know.
Tower.
It's hilarious we could put it in the tower. It's like when there's no fence around it and there's like a little gap in it. We've put them directly in the towers.
It's an irresistible temptation, but you must resist it because you only need to get within a quarter mile or so of the tower for it to be neutralized. Now, that's not a hard and fast rule, but oftentimes there will be a better location to put your tower buster so that it remains hidden a little further away from it rather than getting it right up there by it.
I mean, it's good to get close if you can, but within reason. If you're many feet away from it, but you find a nice bush and there's no surveillance camera or anything, by all means, put it in there. There's a lot of great plants for hiding Orgonite, and it's quick. And you can really save money and save ammo by doing multiple bustings. We didn't know this when we started. We used so many tower busters at first, and it gets really expensive. So if we saw 3 towers in a cluster, you'll see that often. You'll see 2 or 3 together. We would do each one near the tower. You can actually just, if they're really near each other, you can actually just put one near one of them and it'll do all of them. So multiple bustings are a great way to get the most out of your Orgonite.
If you see more than 3 near each other, we do recommend putting 2 there. Seeing 4 or more is very rare but it does happen from time to time. And another thing you might see out there when you're gifting is a weather ball. And this is gold for the Orgonite gifter.
It's amazing what happens when you gift a weather ball. You cannot believe the results. It's astonishing.
Minimum 2 tower busters for a weather ball. And I say minimum 2 because when we got that one up on Mount Tamalpais, we must have thrown,
We threw about
I don't know,
6.
half a dozen.
Yeah, I just couldn't stop because what I was thinking was, this is so important. It took us so long to get up there. It's nowhere near where we live. And it took us so long to get up there. I thought, just in case one of these gets found, then let's make sure there's another one. And the other reason was that there were many towers up there too. So I thought, let's just do extra. And wow, what a difference. Unbelievable. After that San Francisco gifting in January, I've gotten such great reports about how perfect the sky is up there every day. And I've gotten pictures too, and it's beautiful. Right after Mount Tamalpais gifting, there was really cool transmutation clouds hovering around the top of it. The kind of transmutation that people call fog, which is an energetic transmutation, by the way.
Which you will also talk about
That's
in the book.
So yeah, and we also did one up in Ventura County where we couldn't get up there, but we did at the base of the hill on a couple of sides. And it was April of 2016. Was it 2016? April of 2016.
I think so, yeah.
And it hailed that night out of nowhere here where we live, 2 hours from that tower.
Yeah.
So the results are really cool.
Very important. And yeah, you can save ammo, as Doncroft calls it, by using one for a cluster of 2 or 3. But use as many as you need to. And also, it doesn't matter how they end up. You know, when you're tossing from a car, it could land right side up, it could land upside down, it could land on its side for all you know. It doesn't matter. It's still going to work exactly the same, no matter which way it's aimed. Or if you bury it, that doesn't matter either. Orgone energy it transcends dimensions. It goes through matter. It doesn't matter which way it ends up.
Exactly. And be discreet when you gift. Not just about who you tell or who's with you, but just while you're doing it, the quicker you could do it, the better. So find a good spot, look ahead. You know, if you see some bushes that look really thick and unmanicured, it's better not to do it in a place that's too manicured where your gifts could get removed by gardeners.
Right.
So there's a lot of that on the freeways. There are lots of great places to toss ivy, ice plants, different flowering plants.
Juniper's one of my favorites.
Oh, they're great.
Always
No one's
has
going to
been.
reach in there.
Yeah.
And it's great. This is a great opportunity for you to use your gardening gloves that you've taken with you gifting, because I have cut up my hands so many times putting Orgonite in bushes. Now I put on the gardening glove, just put it right in. It's quick and easy. So also, if there are people around, all of a sudden somebody appears, you do not need to do it right then. Just move on. Just take a break, walk somewhere else, change plans if you have to.
Yeah, be prepared to, just on the fly, because who knows what's going to happen.
When we're doing industrial areas, often there's guys in big semi trucks just idling on the side of the road or parked there. And sometimes you can't see if there's someone in there, and I'll jump out of the car and walk down. I'm about to gift. Then I see there's a guy in the truck. I'll just keep walking as if I'm taking a walk, cross the street, go the other way, drop it in a bush somewhere else. They don't see you. They're on the phone. And that's actually most people.
Yeah.
They don't even see you.
Most people are too distracted to notice, so don't worry about it too much. But watch out for those people, and also watch out for security cameras.
Yep.
Yeah, they're usually that dark globe set inside the white cylinder. You'll see them around a lot of the towers. If you see those, go somewhere else to bust.
Mm-hmm. And
Don't-
you've got
don't
that
give
quarter-mile rule, so
Yes,
it opens
remember-
up your options.
Remember the quarter-mile rule. No need to give away your gifting location for no reason. Just find another place.
And you always be patient with yourself and gifting, because there's no way we're going to get this done in one day. It's frustrating, I know. When we were in San Francisco, I wished we could have gridded the entire city in a day. When we were in Las Vegas, we did about a third of the city in, I think, 2.5 days. You need a lot of time to do a city. In Los Angeles, we spent a couple years doing it piece by piece by piece. So just be patient. The benefit of doing this is it's going to be better than it was when you started. So even if it's not a total turnaround, you want to see the whole frequency fence come down overnight. Well, unfortunately, we can't do it that quick. But just think about how much better it is today than it was yesterday, just that you did what you did. It's just whittling away at it. That's how it works.
Piece by piece. Just give it time and be patient. Believe me, I've driven past seen an array on a mountaintop that I have no idea how to get to, and it's been frustrating as hell knowing that it's up there sitting unbusted. But it'll happen. There's always more towers to bust. Just get them next time.
Just do your best. So after you're done gifting, there are a lot of other things to think about, like the consequences and the psychic attacks that could happen. Be prepared because they don't like it. They don't like what you did. So
after I'm done gifting, I think about stuff like beer and hot bath.
yes, you want to take care of yourself after you gift. So there's a good chance.
Did I mention beer?
Beer is good. And coffee is good.
Oh, yeah.
Good food. After you're done gifting, treat yourself. Relax. Because you may experience some of the consequences of these lowly little parasites who want to wreck your day. And just remember, they are just parasites. They have no power. And if you're feeling inexplicably in a bad mood, they may be hitting you with directed energy for just to ruin your mood. So do what you need to do. Take an Epsom salt bath to recharge your body. Turn off the devices.
That's
because
the first thing to do. As soon as you notice that headache behind the eyes, turn off all your devices, every last one.
And just rest and eat something good. Watch something funny. There's no reason to be so serious. Stay off of YouTube. Don't watch conspiracy stuff. Just watch something funny and light and entertaining, or
Like the human frequency.
yeah. Don't listen to the human frequency after you've gifted. But just enjoy. Listen to some nice music. Ambient music, something relaxing, and you don't have to take yourself so seriously. You don't take life so seriously. Some of the consequences you might experience would be these directed energy attacks, which are easily overcome, by the way, especially once you know. If it starts to happen, just know that it's them doing it, and it's almost over as soon as it starts, as soon as you recognize that. And, you might see heavy chemtrails or an engineered heat up. You might see heavy weather warfare right after. And they're deliberately doing this to make you think the Orgonite's not working.
PSYOP.
It's a psyop. And they're also having a hissy fit because they love DOR. They love chemtrails, smog, and heat. They want global warming. That's their idea. And that's their world. And you could easily dispel that too. When they're doing that, right after you gifted, instead of worrying that your gifts aren't working, just watch what happens over a day to their chemtrails, because I could guarantee you that they're going to fall apart and break. And by the end of the day, you're going to see some pretty cool transmutations.
Yeah, remember that the entire purpose of that particular PSYOP is to get you in that mindset of thinking, oh God, it's not working. I didn't do enough. It's there to make you doubt yourself and your work.
And to make you doubt orgone energy.
Yes.
And so you just want to dispel all of that, watch it happen, just enjoy. Because remember, it's better than it was the day before. It was bad the day before, but now there's Orgonite and it's better. So watch the transmutations. It can take all day because they're going to hit back. Many people think that if you have Orgonite, you're never going to see a chemtrail, and if you do, it's not working. Well, why would you think that they wouldn't stop spraying? It's just a back and forth. It's a war. So they're going to keep coming. They're going to send out more of their guys after you gift, and all those guys are going to die because they can't live in orgone energy.
Remember, we're living in war times, so turn your devices off. They're there to harm you, and treat yourself. You've earned it.
Exactly.
You just gifted a bunch of towers. Treat yourself right.
No Alex Jones channel.
Yes, and no Dane Wigington either.
Just relax, man.
If you're going to take photos while you're out, use a camera. Please don't turn on your cell phone and go snapping pictures. It's just not... Do I even need to explain why this is not a good idea?
I think we've already gone over the cell phone problem enough ad nauseum. But, a lot of the modern cameras have Wi-Fi in them. That's no good either. So I don't know what to do about that. For
Get
most
one of
people.
those good...
I have an old camera, and I always buy
Yeah.
last year's model to make sure it doesn't have that stuff.
Get one of those old cameras that doesn't have that. You can even be really funny and get one of those Civil War cameras that has a black cloak behind it. And
Yeah, that's useful.
Maybe not, but you get the point. Don't expose yourself to more EMF than you have to.
Right. And don't let them know where you are. That's a huge one. People taking pictures of towers and putting them on Instagram, that's like the stupidest thing you can do when you're gifting. And first and foremost, or last but not least,
Last and foremost.
gifting requires a positive attitude. It's very important. I think that the positive attitude is probably more important than anything else we've even talked about today, because it's that which shapes the world.
Hey, you yourself just said, after you gift, abstain from negative media. That's one of the best things you can do for yourself right there. You will not be able to get the results you want if you have a negative mindset. These devices work reciprocally with us.
You know, it's interesting because the cell phone works reciprocally with our negative minds.
Yes.
And the
that's
Orgonite
true.
works reciprocally with our positive minds. And when you go out there gifting, if you're angry at the chemtrails and you're thinking, oh, these Illuminati, New World Order bastards, and that's what your mindset is, you're not going to see great results because your mind is putting them above you. You're looking at them as better than you, stronger than you, and hurting you. But that's so far from the truth. They are ruling by deception. You are so much better than them. They are nothing. They're not even living.
They're not illuminated. They're more lowly than viruses.
They are a virus on this planet, and they tell us we are. So just put that out of your mind, and instead of being angry at chemtrails, while you gift the Orgonite, think about how much you love the earth, because you're doing it because you love the earth. And give your love and gratitude to the earth and sky. I am always practicing gratitude. When I want rain and I'm drawing for rain, I use the chembuster to help move orgone energy in the atmosphere. I always thank the sky. Afterwards, I say, thank you for your abundant blessings of rainfall. If you are ready to rain, we accept your gift. And I thank the earth. Thank you for the orgone energy that you provide for us that gives us life and keeps us healthy. And when you're doing it with an attitude of gratitude, you'll be amazed at how quickly those chemtrails just go away.
They do. And, last thing here, planetary healing really does take a long time. You're not going to see results overnight or in a week or in a month or even in a year. You just have to maintain a positive mindset and realize that any improvement in the sky, in your energy field, whatever, any improvement should bring joy into your life.
Absolutely. I mean, we've been dealing with so much for so long. We've been dealing with energetic attacks, poisons in our food and water. And once we learn one by one how to get rid of each of these things and create a clean and healthy world, we've learned how to eat healthy food. We know what not to eat. We know what to eat. We've learned to clean our water. Now that we're learning how to clean the atmosphere, it's like we've got it all. So just be patient and understand that we are a very lucky generation because we are witnessing the change. As Aya has said, Aya, the inventor of the obelix, only one generation will see this change because soon it will be done and it will just be like this. It'll just be beautiful all the time. So enjoy this very exciting time we live in. We are making that change right now, each and every one of us. Positive mindset, orgone energy, and gifting. The act of charity in itself does so much to transmute negative energy. Thank you for listening to our Orgonite Gifting 101. And we hope to see you at our website, thechembo.com. I'll have this document up soon, I promise, and you'll be able to download it. Please come for tutorials, learn how to make Orgonite, and read up on how it works. Get acquainted with it because it's a little complicated to understand at first, but it's worth knowing how it works.
And come visit our new store. It's online, and you can get everything you need there.
No sales tax, no BS. Thank you so much for listening. This has been The Human Frequency, and we will see you again next time.